Good morning, early game crew. Hope you had a good weekend. Hope everybody showed up to work today, or is showing up to work today, with all your fingers and all of your toes. Everything that you had when you left work on Friday, you come back with on Monday and enjoyed the holiday weekend. I'm Elijah Campbell. He is Northeast Columbia resident Preston Thorne. Jalen Tart producing for Jen Jensen today. That's what you're now known as. Now,
I'll take it.
On the business card.
Listen, man, you never know what's going to be the thing that hits for you, man. You never know. You think it might be a 3-hour radio show in the market. You think it might be writing a children's book. You think it might have been playing for the Gamecocks, but no. A local TV news media hit is the thing that gets you over. I am certified now.
Certified Northeast Columbia resident. Now we all know where Preston lives.
Yeah. Whoever the geocache guy, geomap guy, he got me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can't remember the guy's name.
Whatever that dude's name is, the one that can look at a picture and find your coordinates within an inch, he could take that picture and show up on my front porch.
That's right. And deliver you a present himself.
Correct.
And maybe he could deliver you a present that is as good as what we got yesterday, but I highly doubt it is going to be as satisfying as what we got yesterday, because just randomly, out of the blue, a day before the United States men's national team prepares to take on Belgium, they got news. And for once, you benefit from FIFA being maybe the most crooked organization in sports. Magically, out of nowhere. Like, I know we do a lot of local stuff to start these shows, but I cannot go any longer into this program without talking about Folarin Balogun getting his suspension frozen, not uplifted, not completely removed. Apparently in Article 27 in the FIFA rulebook, you cannot eliminate the suspension. However, the organization has full reign to just freeze the suspension. Suspend the suspension.
Listen, man. Listen. If you're like, oh, FIFA's so corrupt. Yes, we get that. We all know that. Next question. I am a college football fan. I am very familiar with this phenomenon. Whom amongst us has not had a player suspended for a non-con game only to get the suspension later in the season? You get to pick your suspensions. We're going to suspend ourselves. This is all part of the deal, man. This is something that we know and understand in sport very well. The game is too big to not have the best players on the pitch at this moment.
This is like Sharon Moore when he got suspended, and they're like, well, it's a 3-game suspension, but we'll let you coach the Oklahoma game at Oklahoma. But you can miss out against New Mexico.
Don't limit this to just FIFA. FIFA's not the only ones who play this game. Everybody at every level plays this sort of game. We just happen to benefit it from this time.
We just happen to get to be on the right end of it. Now, we have a clip that we'll play here in a second that is the perfect encapsulation. We'll play it here in a little bit. We're currently efforting the best way to sum up this entire situation. But the fact of the matter is, the FIFA gods decide to bend some rules to help you. And Folarin Balogun, the best player on this United States men's national team during this World Cup run, gets to play. The red card suspension, suspended. We'll worry about that another time. Cross that bridge when we get there, says FIFA. You play, son. You play on Monday night and help win your team a second knockout round game and go to the quarterfinals of this event for the first time since 2000.
And again, I don't understand all the strategery that is involved in soccer, but I do understand sport, and I understand how this works from both sides. Because from the U.S. men's national team side, you've been preparing. We're going to give it the best. Next man up. All of that malarkey. It's all good. It sounds great. It's awesome to say, but every player knows deep down, like, man, we don't have our best dude. We're gonna play as hard as we can, win one for the Gipper. It's a team. All of that stuff sounds great, but deep down, you're like,
Well, especially if somebody misses a wide open net or something, it's going to be like, Well, if he was here,
it's just difficult
money.
it's difficult not to have those types of thoughts come into your mind, or there's just a comfort in knowing that your dude is out there. Even if he doesn't score, even if he's not even playing particularly well, just knowing that your dude is there is a comfort. On the flip side, Belgium, we want to beat them with their best. No, you don't.
No.
You don't want to beat a team with their best.
They acted yesterday like they don't want to beat a team with their best.
And I appreciate their authenticity. I appreciate them not coming out and saying, oh, we want them to have their best and we want to take. No, you don't. Anytime you can get a slight advantage, especially when the stakes are this high, you will take it. Whether it's from FIFA, whether it's from an injury, we don't want anything career-ending or life-threatening. No. But a high ankle sprain on their best player never hurt anybody.
Yeah, hey, buddy, you just take the day off, right? You just chill out.
It never hurt. And now he's back. Think about what if this was college football, I would say the GAs or the assistants. They had to redo the whole scouting report.
That whole organization had to scramble yesterday. And you know what? Good. Good. I hope you panicked. I hope you got that notification or you got notified by FIFA and you immediately had to scramble. I hope you felt that pit of anxiety in your stomach when you feel like you left the stove on at the house when you left.
Did they get – okay, I have no reporting on this. Did they receive official word from FIFA first or did they get it on IG like everybody else?
I hope they got it on IG like everybody else. What's so funny is, Belgium's coach had a media availability yesterday, and in French, he goes, I didn't realize July 5th was April Fool's Day. You know what this tells me, Preston Thorne? We got him.
Shook. It's tough. Because he's going to go in there and he's going to say, we'll play whoever. We were going to play those guys anyway, but deep down they're like, oh, God, he's out.
Ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. They're scared to death, scared to look. They're in trouble. I think they're in trouble. And when you just talk about the game itself, 8:30 tonight, or 8 o'clock tonight on Fox or Telemundo, if you so choose, buddy, I got some hopium for you. And I've got it in droves. Because you know what Belgium is, Preston Thorne? Old. As a team. Their best players, old. Romelu Lukaku, he was on that Belgium team in 2014 when they beat the United States 12 years ago in the knockout round. He's one of their best players. Kevin De Bruyne, he's in his mid-30s. He was on that team 12 years ago. Goaltender Thibaut Courtois, one of their best players. He was on that team 12 years ago. The three best players on Belgium's team were also the three best players 12 years ago when they played in the round of 16. And Tim Howard played the game of his life, and it was all for nothing. Golden opportunity. I think they win tonight. The vibes are too good.
Vibes are definitely high, for sure. This is going to be in Seattle, correct?
It's going to be in Seattle.
12th man will be in the building.
Early game crew member David's going to be there in attendance. He decided, yeah, you weren't here. I forgot. You were not here. Jared was here with me. He called in the 8 o'clock hour, I believe, on Wednesday, and said that he made the decision he's going to the game. He's not selling the tickets.
So for anybody maybe just tuning in, what was the dilemma?
So David's dilemma was that he bought tickets to the round of 16 game in going to be in Seattle. He already had the flight paid for, already had the hotel paid for. He said his ticket was $3,000. He saw on the secondary market that they were, this is some stretch of time after he bought the tickets, that he could sell them for $6,000. So he could profit $3,000, right? So he called in to our program and asked what we would do in that scenario. If he would sell the tickets and just go and be outside the stadium and do all the fan fest stuff and be a part of the atmosphere, or should he just keep the tickets and go to the game and say, hey, there's no price tag on getting to experience this sort of thing. David decided he's going into the game.
Yeah.
He'll be in the stadium.
I said that was a possible choice, and a lot of it depended on what your financial situation was at the moment or what was going on with you. But at certain stages, there's not going to be a lot. I was listening to the show earlier previously, and there was a guy that called in and said he was at the Miracle on Ice game, right? And being able to say, like, I was there when this happened, if you have the means to do it, the financial means to do it, which you kind of already do if you already paid the $3,000, so you already got that. At that stage in life, you might have to go to the game. I understand now. There's a caveat. There is a number.
There's always a number.
There's always a number. Please believe. The $1 Million Man taught me that when I was a very young child. Everybody's got a price. I understand that. But up to whatever that number is for you, going and being in that building as all the drama unfolds, as the new storylines are happening, I'm not sure. The price has to be very high for you to forfeit that. So good on him for being able to be there.
I told him, I said, look, if I didn't have a wedding to pay for here in, 21 months, I probably would I would have gone to say that I was there. That stuff at this point in my life still matters a lot, where I want to experience that in person.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone dangled like $5,000 to take that ticket, I'd be like, oh, I have to. I don't want to, but I have to. This is not a matter of wanting or not wanting. This is a matter of needing or not needing that extra $5K.
See, I get it. You have an actual pressing thing that is happening right now.
That can alleviate a lot of stress.
I have far off things like college and all that type of stuff.
I can kick that can down the road.
I'll get to that later. I'm going to this game today. Sorry, honey.
That's what my parents said about for all 18 years of free college. We'll kick that can down the road.
We'll get there when we get there.
And then it's like, I just almost graduating high school. what do we have in the fun?
We'll get there when we get there.
Oh, yikes! Sorry, buddy. Whoopsies. We'll get to more of this throughout the show. But coming up next, it was a phenomenal recruiting weekend for South Carolina. What does this say for the Gamecocks that they are able to have this type of recruiting weekend after maybe a slow start in the 2027 class? How excited are we? But most importantly, what does this say about a team that went 4-8 and still was able to have this type of weekend? We'll get to that on the other side as you're listening to the early game.
Press here for the good folks at Integrated Media. Listen, today might have been the day for you to sign up because all of the big sports have been happening. And the folks from Integrated Media could have got you set up, but you didn't call yet. But don't worry, it's not too late. Integrated Media can get you set up with an outdoor setup that could look like Sonos outdoor speakers for TV and music, Wi-Fi that works indoors and outdoors, or my favorite, the Wi-Fi can be set up so that you can have all your devices streaming at the same time and you don't have to worry about that annoying, pesky lag time. And the folks from Integrated Media can get you all set up. So call Nathan and Michael at Integrated Media at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327. Or you can visit them online at integratedmediainc.com.
This is Jalen Tart here with the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Report here at 107.5 The Game. Right now, we only have one accident to report in Richland County on I-26 westbound before Columbia Avenue, exit 91. And then you also have long-term road construction in Richland and Lexington County. Today's weather will be a nice one. Right now, it is 75 degrees. The high will be 93 degrees with slight chance of rain later this afternoon. Coming up, we have more with Preston Thorne and Elijah Campbell here on the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Corruption is not bad. Corruption is only bad if I'm not involved.
Yes.
But if I'm part of that corruption, I'll defend it.
It's not bad when I'm involved. I wish I could give proper attribution to that quote, but I think I like it more if it's anonymous. Corruption's only bad if I'm not involved.
Listen, truer words have never been spoken. And we can apply this. We can just take a broad paintbrush and apply it to wherever you will. We're about to talk recruiting, apply it to recruiting. We're about to talk rankings, apply it to rankings.
Uh-huh.
It is only bad when I'm not involved. If I'm involved, I defend it.
I defend it. That's how it felt yesterday when Falarin Balogun got his red card suspended. And it was announced that he was going to be available to play tonight. But also, you mentioned recruiting battles. Be applicable for recruiting battles, too. Somebody wins out on the battle for that five-star player. They dropped a bag.
Bag man.
They dropped a bag.
What's recruiting coming to? What's recruiting coming to?
Kids these days only worry about the NIL, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
It's corrupt. But when you get it, it's the culture.
Culture. These kids want to be a part. Good kids.
Yeah, they're kids. Good choice, young man. You're in it for the right reasons. And that's what it felt this weekend. Look, if you were not locked into the festivities of recruiting for the class of 2027 over the weekend, and you were busy with, holiday stuff, don't blame you, but that's what we're here for. But South Carolina over the weekend gets commitments from Nate Carson, 4-star interior offensive lineman from Irmo. They also get one from Davian Jones, a 4-star defensive back. And they, of course, at the end of the week, got one from Josh Dobson, 5-star defensive back, one of the highest-rated recruits that Shane Beamer's been able to get in his time as the head coach at South Carolina, up there with Dylan Stewart and Nick Harbor. Like, that's the Shane Beamer 5-star club right there. And I think those two have worked out pretty good. If you look at what they did this weekend, significantly increased what the traditional rankings would be. And I think maybe put a little bit of a pin in the worries of Gamecock fans of what the 27 class is going to look like. You should be pretty excited. Now, again, I've got to be consistent here. I am tempering all expectation and all excitement until the dotted line is signed and the NLI is signed. Because until then, people can just flip commitments. It's the same reason I'm not concerned about recruiting before this weekend, or I wasn't concerned, because you see these guys flip all the time. So now you got to hold them. You've taken the reservation. Now you have to hold the reservation.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, still, I would say a positive weekend in that regard to know that even after being 4-8 last year, you still have enough juice to be able to get a recruiting weekend like you just had.
Well, here's a little asterisk that I think you make sure that you have to point out. This may temper some of the fears about losing the commit. All three of these players are in-state recruits. And when you're an in-state recruit and you commit to an in-state university, it makes it a lot more difficult to flip
Yes.
because we know you, and you got to go to Publix, and you have to go to Kroger, and I might see you at Rush's. And so all of the Go Gamecocks that you've been getting, all of the Spurs up that you're seeing on the street, everybody's all in your DMs celebrating you. It's all good right now. Now, if you flip, it better be worth it. It better be worth it.
Everybody's got a number.
And I have no problem if you do that, but just understand that if you do decide to flip once you make a commitment, because everybody understands as an in-state recruit, you can make whatever choice you want to make. All rational people. And I'm not talking for the irrational. I'm just talking for the regular college football fan. Hey, you're from South Carolina. You're not obliged to play for South Carolina. But once you commit and you've said that this is what you want to do and you've gone through the journey and you talk about the relationship and all that stuff, now it's going to be very difficult. So I say the chances of holding on to an in-state recruit are a lot higher than maybe a possible out-of-state recruit just because of all the social bonds that are holding them here. Yes, blackmail. Yes, peer pressure. all of the things. They are all part of what it might hold these recruits longer than anybody else.
It's more socially acceptable to flip to the hometown team.
Flip to the hometown
and
team.
away from the hometown team.
Correct.
Right? It's one of those deals. The same reason why, somebody like Trey Segura is interesting, who running back recruit here in the state of South Carolina that committed to LSU. It's a loaded running back room. Who's to say that if South Carolina doesn't have a really good year this year, that the heartstrings aren't tugged a little bit, and then maybe he makes the decision to come home because maybe there's more playing time opportunity, and you get to play at home, and it's still a pretty good financial package that can come your way. You might start feeling that, or you see other of your peers in the state of South Carolina continue to flip to South Carolina or stay home locally. Maybe it is easier for that to happen, but it is definitely, I'd say, more socially acceptable. But that's really the big thing here, Preston Thorne, is that these guys all have to play another high school football season. Say they're in the middle of the season and South Carolina is on a roll. Say that they're able to get a player who is one of the best in the state that's committed somewhere else, but when, I don't know, the Tennessee game rolls around and you're 4 or 5-1, however many games it'd be, and it's a ranked game on national television, and you pull it off, and and they visit, who's to say that's not enough to get them to come back, to get them to flip? Because again, it is a little more socially acceptable. That's why, like recruiting rankings, I almost don't even want to allude to them. I think 24/7 has South Carolina at 28. I still don't care in that regard, mostly because of transfer portal being a big mover of rosters in college football. I think high school recruiting still matters to a degree, not what it used to be though. But if you're able to start winning in the regular season and you're able to get those kids on your campus, I think you can do a lot of damage in terms of winning the flip battles at that point.
Mm-hmm. And everybody's going to be flipped because the recruitments and the commitments start earlier. The recruiting process is longer, both at the beginning and towards the end, even after recruitment. So like you said, you still have to hold on to these guys. But the flip thing has to happen throughout this process. So it's more, this is not the finish line. This is more like the starting gun of recruiting. Recruiting has just now started.
Yeah, the commitment does not end things anymore. Right, like the commitment is more so, yeah, like you said, now the beginning. But if you look at somebody even like Jaden Bryant, right, like he's going to be playing on a team with Nate Carson. They're both at Irmo. Who's to say they in practices or whatever, they have good practices. South Carolina's playing really well. Maybe LSU or whoever is underachieving. The people that are vying for Jaden Bryant's services, or Miami. Because, he is committed to Miami. And he's like, you know what? Nate, you're playing pretty well in practice. Carolina's playing pretty good. I think I want to go with you. Now, hard to turn down the money that Miami provides because it's corrupt when somebody else does it.
I defend it.
I defend it. But who's to say that change of heart doesn't happen? So that's why I can't ever rule it out. at that point.
And that's why you never burn these bridges either. It's like, okay, cool. I'm happy that Miami's working for you. Let me know how that works out, because things could change on Miami's board.
It could. It very well could.
Right? So everything is fluid and everything is moving around. But to your point, and I got to give a shout out to Kale here, because Kale, our own producer Kale, did some snooping on IG, and he told us that Davion Jones was going to happen simply based on, I think it was like the third story on Davion's IG where he had a South Carolina thing posted with Josh Dobbs, and he was like, yeah, it's going to happen. And that's the type of reporting that we need.
That's the good stuff. The social media deep dive to see whose posts are you liking. What posts are you liking?
I believe Davion liked a South Carolina post of Josh Dobbs and was like, he's obviously going to South Carolina now.
Those are the breadcrumbs, right? Those are the Hansel and Gretel breadcrumbs that lead you to maybe those accurate predictions there. But it was a great recruiting weekend. I think it says a lot that you're able to even have this weekend after being a 4-8 team last year. I think that's maybe the number one reason why you've maybe struggled to get commitments in state so far in this cycle. I think that's completely natural, but I think Shane Beamer's recruiting abilities pretty solid given what happened last season, and still being able to convince some really good talented players to be able to want to at least start off their high school football season with South Carolina Gamecock logo next to their name on all of these websites. But coming up next, though, it's Phil Steele season. Phil Steele's even going to join us at 8 o'clock this morning. But coming up next, though, he's got a specific South Carolina position group ranked as one of the top 15 in the country. Do we agree? Is it all because of one player? Well, we'll discuss that coming up next here on the early game.
Press here for our good friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. If your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and they'll replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with the insurance to take away the headache. That's right, they'll come out to wherever you are, school, home, work, it does not matter. Absolute Glass will come out to you and take care of the job for you. Now, if you're at home, you're looking to increase the value of your home, Absolute Glass can take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. We say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out now at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
This is the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Report here at 107.5 The Game. We have an accident report on Highway 60 in Lexington County at Highway 6, North Lake Drive. And we also have long-term road construction in Richland in Lexington County. If you need to seek an alternative route going to work or going wherever you need to go, please do so immediately. Today's weather should be a pretty hot one once again with the temperature, right now is 76 degrees with the high being 93 degrees throughout the day. We have more coming up on the early game with Preston Thorne and Elijah Campbell here on 107.5 The Game.
The Phil Steele magazine, I would say, is the essential must-read during talking season. Picked mine up yesterday at Barnes & Noble on Garner's Ferry. And because they're in stands now, and Phil Steele is going to join us at 8 o'clock today to talk about his projection for South Carolina and the rest of the SEC. Actually has South Carolina 9th in the SEC. He's maybe a little higher on South Carolina than maybe other prognosticators and people that do the lists may actually have them. But what I found interesting yesterday was going through his top individual units rankings, and I look at wide receiver, and I see that at wide receiver, he's got South Carolina 14th. Actually has them above LSU. They're above Ole Miss. They're above a few other SEC peers. But here's how it reads. It says Nick Harbor is 242 pounds with track speed and is getting better each day and led South Carolina in 25. 4 of the top 5 receivers returned from last year, and they add in transfers from Oklahoma, Purdue, and Central Florida. So, Preston Thorne, if I tell you that South Carolina has a top 15 wide receiving core in the country, is that something that you think you can agree with? And how much of that do you think is solely Nick Harbor? He did allude to having the other guys back, 4 of the top 5 receivers and the transfers. But how much of that do you think is Nick Harbor based?
I think it's very much skewed towards Nick Harbor. And I say this not even jokingly, because of the press that Nick Harbor has garnered throughout his career, whether it was being on the freaks list or being a 99 on the speed in the college football game, some of the cool things he's done, his highlights, I do think he has a national pop, and his name has a bit of gravity around college football that maybe his statistics don't necessarily warrant. Because, I mean, last year he had 30 catches for 6 touchdowns. That's fine, right?
Yeah.
That's totally cool. But when you add that to all the other stuff and then the lure around him being this tall and the lure, all of that, him track guy, yes, I do think that's heavily skewed towards Nick Harbor.
Yeah, I think so too. Because when he mentions 4 of the top 5 receivers, those other 3 are Jaden Sellers, Donovan Murph, and Brady Hunt. And I think we all like what Jaden Sellers and Donovan Murph can bring. Last year, though, Jaden Sellers, 337 yards receiving, Donovan Murph, 197, Brady Hunt, 168. So they weren't insanely productive, but then we go back to what we know here, right? What we saw here locally was that it was a dysfunctional offense that started at the offensive line, and the offensive coordinator did not endear himself well enough to stay past the Ole Miss game. Was let go after that pretty abruptly. But I look at this team, and I look at those, like especially those 2 freshman wide receivers from last year, Jaden Sellers and Donovan Murph. I've seen enough of Donovan Murph when he was in high school to know that that guy is going to be a really, really good football player. And he reclassified, so he should have been a senior in high school last year. So I think if those 2 guys have breakout years and you get production from someone like DJ Black, transfer from Central Florida, Nitro Tuggle comes in, fixes the drop problems that he had at Purdue, because that was the one thing when looking at his kind of statistical profile and seeing him from last year was you could see the athleticism. I think you could just watch him play and say that guy is an SEC caliber football player. The drops were a little bit of an issue. He had a little bit of a high drop rate for my taste there. But say he fixes that, Jaden Gibson's able to give you a post-up threat, so to speak, down in the red zone and he's able to help you convert a couple of red zone trips into touchdowns, I do see the top 15 potential. There are a lot of ifs, and there are a lot of questions as to what Kendall Briles is going to do to maybe maximize the skill set those guys have. But if you have Nick Harbert and a bunch of other really good options, that does have, to me, the build-up and the profile of a wide receiving core that you can consider to be one of the 15 most reliable if you have a star and then a bunch of really good co-stars.
15 is very high. That's elite level production from the wide receivers. Obviously, if they even perform close to that, then I think things are looking up for the offense. Maybe a lot of it has to do with also the trigger man, feeling as if they have some, maybe Phil Steele, and we'll hear from Phil later, but maybe he feels as if they have someone who can get them the rock, give them in different places. But there's still 2 wild cards, I think, in my mind for this wide receiver. Let me go, before I get there, you know how you prorate something? Like, I don't know if there's a word for prorating Jaden Sellers' stats if we could go backwards.
Right, because he came on at the end of the year a lot more. He had some really good weeks at the end of the season.
Yeah, his season started when Mike Shula left the building, essentially.
And Mike Furry said, hey, this guy is a little too good to just not get him the football.
Yeah, so his numbers being you said he was the second leading receiver?
Second leading returning receiver.
Second leading returning receiver. That was only based on a very limited sample size. So I would like to have seen what that would have looked like. Building on that, Mazio Bennett's a wild card. Does he return to form from his freshman year?
That's a big one.
That's a huge one. I am not reporting. I contend that there was a personnel issue between him and the offensive coordinator. It just seems as if that relationship never worked. And a lot of times what happens is an OC can get in position and say, I don't want that guy playing for whatever reason. It doesn't even have to be personal. It could just be something about his game he doesn't like.
What I want to do.
It could be and something did not seem right about that. So we want to see what happens with Mazio Bennett.
Occam's razor, I would say, would tell you that.
Right. And then the other wild card I say is Sequel Patterson coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Freshman coming in. Does he have a chance to make an impact? There are a lot of names, but top 15 is elite level production.
Yeah, you are looked at as one of the best wide receiving groups. And again, there's a reason we've dubbed it the summer of the biggin, because if you cannot block, then that doesn't matter, right? If you cannot protect the quarterback, if you cannot block the scheme, none of that mess is going to matter. But let's just say you get the acceptable production there at the offensive line, an acceptable level of protection to be able to ultimately run what Kendall Briles wants to run. I like what you have there in place. Top 15 level, I think can be. I put a little asterisk there. If I'm ranking these and I'm taking all those teams in the 15, I'm looking at South Carolina as a can be top 15.
This is why I wish we would have had a spring game to see all of this. So that way, we can see, okay, what is the ceiling for this wide receiver room? Because it's a pretty stacked room, so to speak, from what you guys add. I just wanted to add that in.
Yeah, it's a good room, but there's still more proof of concept needed, I would say. There's still I would like to see what Sequel Patterson's role in this offense is going to be. I would like to see how much better Donovan Murph and Jaden Sellers got with a full off season in college football, especially Donovan Murph, because I don't think he was able to participate in spring ball last year, because of the reclassification. So I would have liked to have seen what those guys have and what Jaden Gibson looks like. Health has been a concern for him too, availability. His time at Oklahoma was always a concern, so it's going to be a natural concern coming here. The Nitro Tuggle drop thing is another question mark. So there's still a lot of question marks there. I think this position group is not devoid of any type of skepticism, but I think maybe the fairest assumption or fairest evaluation is that maybe talent level and depth can be there. There's just a lot of other moving parts to be able to find out if this type of projection from Phil ends up coming true.
And again, to quote my guy, I don't really put much stock in preseason list unless my team is ranked high. Then I defend them.
Then I defend them. Everybody else I'm skeptical about. Not for us. But speaking of defending corruption, we'll play that clip again, but we'll also give you an international soccer update from a tournament we can't say due to copyright reasons because the United States got a star back. And England-Mexico was an instant classic last night. We'll tell you what happened in case you missed it, coming up next. And there's no shortage of storylines in that regard, let me tell you. It's the the big global soccer tournament held here in America, whose name we can't say for copyright reasons in this segment, brought to you by the British Bulldog. And the big story is the United States maybe gets to benefit from a little FIFA corruption.
Corruption is not bad. Corruption is only bad if I'm not involved.
Yes.
But if I'm part of that corruption, I'll defend it.
I defend it.
Defend it! It's only bad if I'm not involved. And the USA got to benefit. It's only bad if the United States does not get to benefit. Qatar gets to use bribes to be able to host this event in 2022. Okay, yeah, we're going to play this in a place where you can't play soccer in the summer because temperatures are over 120 degrees and it's quite literally uninhabitable. Okay. But now the United States gets Flair and Balogun gets his red card suspended to where they'll allow him to play in the round of 16 against Belgium tonight. Then it's tight. Then it's cool.
I just love how FIFA has Article 27, and I think everybody should have an Article 27 in your personal bylaws. It's like, hey, man, I can change my mind at any moment.
I can do whatever I want.
I'm just letting you know it's written down that, yes, I may have said something.
It was Belgium's reaction to them learning about this,
cooked.
saying, like, this is insanely ridiculous. Like, they were furious yesterday.
But also, come on, man. It's FIFA, man. What you want?
I don't know how many of us here are fluent in French, so we can't really play the clip without you understanding, but I did read the translation of the clip from Belgium's head coach, and he said, I didn't know July 5th was April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
Oh, they messed up.
You're 2 months late.
They're messed up.
Hey, man, listen. I've seen FIFA described as painfully corrupt, nakedly corrupt,
Yeah.
decidedly corrupt.
Yeah.
And my thing is this. If we all know that, it's even.
That's right. We're all going into this thing under the same assumption.
If everybody knows that we're playing a corrupt game and a dirty game, then it's... Listen, when Major League Baseball had the steroid scandal, if everybody's on it, the playing field's back level again.
I was getting ready to say, we're all operating under the same set of pretenses here.
We're all cheating, then we're all back.
We're all back.
It's kind of like SEC recruiting.
The results are the results then at that point.
Right.
It's all, hey, man, it's all evil, baby.
We'll get more into this in the next hour in terms of how much more excited are we about this game tonight, because 8 o'clock, Fox Sports, if you're going to the British Bulldog to watch the game, which I highly recommend, those watch parties have been fantastic, get there early. Fire Marshal game.
Yes, absolutely.
It's real Fire Marshal game potential. Fire Marshal watch party? It's technically not the game itself, but watch party? Yeah, it's going to be that way. So I recommend you get to the Dog early tonight to watch that game. Last night, if you didn't stay up because the game was pushed back an hour, started at 9 instead of 8, England and Mexico was an instant classic.
Amazing.
Instant classic.
Amazing.
Do you like goals being scored?
Yes.
I like goals being scored. You got 3 of them in like an 8-minute stretch from the 36th minute to the 44th. Mexico and England had 3 goals. England had 2. Mexico had 1. So you had all that excitement. England had a red card early in the second half and had to play, like the United States against Bosnia, had to play a majority of the second half with only 10 men. And both teams had a penalty kick for goals in the second half. England wins 3-2 in what will be the most hostile environment you'll probably see this entire tournament.
I'm gonna be honest. I was just like, man, I don't know if they're gonna be able to get out of that stadium.
Oh, did you see the video of the bus driving into the stadium with all of the liquids and stuff thrown on it?
It was a lot of, like, Mexico fans were very, very mad. They were shaking cars. The stadium was rumbling, and it was bad.
Oh, they were outside the team hotel for hours overnight.
Well, they were outside the team hotel, but what I read was that England booked 15 different hotels to try and throw the fans off the scent. Couldn't get them.
They still found it.
I saw a mariachi band playing at 3 o'clock in the morning outside the hotel. That's what I'm talking about.
You know what would be really unfortunate, though? If you are not even there for this tournament, you're visiting Mexico City, just for like a vacation or whatever, and you're in this hotel, and you're like, oh my God, make the music stop.
I will never come back ever
You picked
again.
a 5-star hotel. You thought this was going to be your getaway.
You just so happened to pick the worst possible hotel. I don't care how expensive it was. You think it's really nice. You think it's, resort-like, all this type of stuff, and you think you're getting ready to enjoy your vacation. Because you're sharing a hotel with England's national team, and the Mexico fans were not going to let you sleep that night at all. Didn't matter, though. England maybe had one of the more impressive road wins you'll see in this event. Hour number 2 coming up next. Talking season. Who are the contenders? My friends over at Pro Swing have all types of options for you. It's not just the ability to go and enjoy those Golf Zone simulators where there's over 300 plus courses to play at. It's not just the nice refreshments and the friendly staff over there that bring you in, but also the tournaments. The 2026 Operator Open. The Trollbrook Golf Course countrywide competition gives you a chance to win cash prizes and a pool of $6,500 with a first place prize of $1,950. It's a chance to be able to win some money by using your golf game, but also there are other things you can do at Pro Swing, whether it's the Chapin location or the Forest Acres location. They have tailor-made guided demos. You can demo all of TaylorMade's new QI4D product line, drivers, woods, hybrids, and irons, along with different customized shaft options. Just one of the many different perks of being able to hit up Pro Swing. Go to ProSwingColumbia.com to learn more.
This is the Shoulders Towing Traffic Report here on 107.5 The Game. We have an accident to report in Lexington County on North Lake Drive at Lean Creek Drive. And we also have long-term road construction in Blythewood, Irmo, Columbia, and Lexington County. If you need to seek an alternative route, please do so immediately. Right now, the temperature is pretty nice, with the temperature at 76 degrees, and the high today will be 96 at 2 o'clock today. We have more in the second hour of the early game, with Preston Thorne and Elijah Campbell coming up on The Game.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Northeast Columbia resident Preston Thorne. Jalen Tart behind the glass producing the show today. And now that we are a week into July, we're really into talking season, Preston Thorne.
Yes, we are. This is weekend of July. Unfortunately for my teacher folks and friends out there, this is when the worm starts turning a little bit.
For your 4th of July weekend, is your last weekend of feeling a little free.
You start just looking at the calendar every day like, oh, it's getting close.
Depressed and
it just starts seeping in just a little bit. Like June is a wide open field of possibilities and endless opportunities.
Vacation.
And then July, you just like, because you still got days, but you're like,
you got to prepare that classroom.
Starting to get a little tighter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Starting to get a little tighter.
Starting to ramp up. That's how I feel about college football season, except I get excited.
Yeah, that's true.
Except I don't have to deal with a classroom full of kiddos.
That's true.
I'm just dealing with getting ready for who's going to be in the college football playoff and making sure that I've got everything squared away to go to Tampa here in a few weeks for SEC Media Days. But now we can really get into the fun stuff, right? I think you can get into a lot of surface level things in May and June and all of that. But from a national level, you can actually get in a lot deeper. And usually that starts for me whenever I get my Phil Steele magazine. And Phil's going to be on at 8 o'clock this morning. But when it comes to the national overlook and SEC overlook, who are the contenders, right? Who do you look at as maybe the possible number 1 overall teams in the country? I started looking at the teams in the SEC that I think are legit national title contenders. Now, I didn't have a specific club for title contenders. The best club to be in for the SEC is the CFP Contention Penthouse, and I've got a few teams in there. But then if we want even more exclusive access to a better club, I think it's Georgia and Texas, and that's the beginning of the conversation.
And kids remember there's always a better club.
Yes.
Regardless of where you are, there's always another level. There's always another door behind that door.
It may not show up on Yelp.
Right.
They don't allow reviews.
Right. It may not even be written down. But there's always another club we can get to. Whatever your experience is, just remember that. And so what I'm interested in in looking at these lists, let's start with the CFP Contention Club.
Yes.
Is there anybody in that you are surprised, or that when they walk into this club with everybody else, everybody's going to look at them like, what you doing here?
I think LSU might be, because they're also a little controversial. I have them in the club initially, and the closer we get to the year, I might do some readjusting into what their passes look like to get them in to certain clubs. I have them in the CFP Contention Penthouse because I think they will contend. But the more I've been looking, especially studying quarterbacks, the more disinterested I am in Sam Leavitt. The more maybe skeptical I am in Sam Leavitt. Maybe more believe it when I see it type deal. LSU's got a significant amount of talent. It's transfer portal laden. And they have been a program that in the last 2 years, at least under Brian Kelly, significantly disappointing. Had rosters good enough to get into a 12-team college football playoff, but never put it together. And that's the reason why Brian Kelly was let go before the season ended. And they went through all of those hoops to jump through to get Lane Kiffin to be their head coach. But I put them in the contention spot because I think the talent level is CFP contention. But we are so in the dark on what it's going to look like until they actually take the field against Clemson to start the season.
And that's why that game is going to be huge. I mean, let alone the, Lane's first game and the pressure that's on Dabo, but there are national implications behind that game. And because of expansion, it doesn't eliminate them from the conversation, so it's not that, but it does give you a glimpse into what they have, what they're working with.
Yeah, what statement can they make? And look, I might keep LSU in the CFP Contention Penthouse all summer. They get to that game, and if they get smacked at home, then they're immediately, going down a notch or two, going down maybe a couple of other ones. The two, though, that everybody's going to kind of roll their eyes when they come in because they're there all the time is going to be Georgia and Texas. And if there's that extra club, to me, it's just Georgia and Texas. I still need to see more from Alabama because I think the quarterback situation and the running game situation is going to really dictate whether or not I feel good enough about them to maybe allow them access into the secret speakeasy that is the national title contender club. It's one of those clubs that you don't have, a pass won't get you in here, but the password will.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia and Texas have those passwords because when I really dove through a couple of those rosters and their situations yesterday, I came to the conclusion that those are maybe two of the most well-rounded teams, not without question marks. Because when I look at teams like Notre Dame and Ohio State and Indiana, there's a lot of question marks there too. Even Miami is going to have some question marks because you lose that much production, especially on the defensive side. How do you replenish that? A lot of your teams that are going to be looked at as national title contenders will have some question marks going into it. There is not a perfectly flawless roster in college football, which I think makes this kind of ripe, a season kind of ripe for maybe some unpredictability. So this whole exercise can be a fool's errand by the time we're talking college football in December. But when it comes to the teams in the SEC, I looked at Georgia and Texas and I say, you have maybe the most talent in terms of guys that are going to make it into the NFL. But will your question marks ultimately get you beat? Georgia's skill position players, it's a believe it when I see it. Highly ranked recruits at wide receiver and tight end, got to see it because they're going to have to replace a lot, and there's a lot of maybe unproven production there. And then when you look at their offensive line, they're really good pass protectors. Are they the best run blockers? Can they allow somebody like Nate Frazier at running back to be able to break 1,000 yards? I don't know. And they also have a couple of running backs. It's a deep running back room. Is the offensive line going to be good enough at run blocking? They're a good pass protection unit, maybe not the best run blocking unit. Texas has the best set of skill position players in the Southeastern Conference. They have 2,000-yard caliber running backs, two guys that almost broke for 1,000 last year, with Hollywood Smothers coming in from NC State, Raleek Brown coming in from Arizona State. They have Cam Coleman coming in from Auburn, who is one of the better wide receivers in terms of an athletic profile in the country. His whole problem was that he had to play at Auburn, and Hugh Freeze was calling up his offense. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the many failures of Hugh Freeze, was you weren't getting that alien the ball enough. And they were able to retain some of their better wide receivers, too. It is probably maybe the deepest group of receivers and running backs. But when you look at Texas's offensive line and you look at grades from last year, center, left guard, right guard, yikes. Not a lot of production. Gave up a lot of pressures. Underachieved last year. Your two tackles are as good as anybody in college football. But can you protect pressure up the middle? That's a big question mark for Texas. Is their secondary going to avoid giving up big plays? Because they hemorrhaged big plays last year. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons why they underachieved was because they just gave up so many explosive passing plays. Is that problem fixed? Is Will Muschamp good enough to fix it? Their defensive front's going to be good enough. But is the secondary good enough? Those two teams, I think, are going to be the ones that I think you should at least expect, pencil in for the SEC championship game. Don't write it in pen. It would be foolish. But it doesn't come without a couple of question marks.
So let's just go through it very quickly. Kirby versus Sark, what you got?
Kirby. Easy.
Gunner versus Arch, what you got?
Arch.
All right, so we even now. I don't have the defensive ends offhand. I don't have the defensive ends offhand, but just in looking at that, Kirby versus Sark, why'd you take Kirby?
I take Kirby because he's done it. It's been a while since he's done it. We're getting further and further removed, but when it comes to winning an SEC title, the guy's still winning this league. He's still kind of the overlord of Southeastern Conference football. As much as I like Sark, as much as I think that guy might be the best offensive play caller and architect in college football right now, there is still a big road bump that keeps him from being able to maximize, because they will lose some games they're not supposed to.
Do you think this is the most pressure he's facing with Arch coming back?
1,000%.
Okay.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, because, I mean, Arch did get better throughout the course of the year. If we're just playing the trajectory game, Arch's trajectory is pretty good because he was poor last year at the beginning. The first 5 weeks of the year, incredibly underwhelming. I think he reached a little bit of a breakthrough in that Florida game where he was making some turnover-worthy plays early, almost willed them back to win that game, and in that point forward, he was great. He's got to continue to be great and make a jump this offseason, especially now that there's no excuses because there's no injuries in the running back room right now. The running back room was kind of depleted because of injuries last year. You have at least a better weapon than he's had his entire time at Texas in terms of a pass catcher with Cam Coleman. And you got two tackles that are elite pass blockers. Now, the middle of the offensive line, a question, but you do have two bookend tackles that are that great.
when you do the Gunnar Verge Arch conversation, is that strictly based on potential, as in ceiling, or is that in who you think they are on a week-to-week basis?
Ceiling and talent. My thing with Gunnar Stockton is I don't know how good Gunnar Stockton actually is, but I know that guy's a dog. He may be one of the most clutch players in college football. He's one of those guys that if it's 4th and 4 in the game on the line, I trust him to do whatever, right? And that's incredibly valuable. But he does not have the same level of arm talent and ceiling that Arch has. And what I'm really doing is kind of baking in the assumption that that jump is made this offseason, that he's a lot more comfortable to start the season. He was not very comfortable to start last season, as evidenced by that Ohio State game in which nobody scored in that game, seemingly. I think he grew up a lot last year to where I feel like any type of hype he has coming into 2026 is a lot more warranted than it was this time last year.
Right. So what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing is Arch is a better quarterback as far as talent is concerned.
Yes, 100%.
However, Gunnar can get it done if you need it. Anything to happen, Gunnar can get it done.
Just like the old beat-up pickup truck he drives, it's all reliable.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be the sexiest thing out there on the road? No, but it's incredibly reliable. And it's always getting Georgia from point A to point B. And I think part of this, too, is the understanding that Texas's wide receiver room is much better than Georgia's. So Arch has more help from that perspective. I think Georgia's going to rely on that ground game a lot. Gunnar Stockton did dink and dunk a lot last year, but that is a Mike Bobo offense. That is design. That is by design. That is not a bug. That is a feature of the offense. So taking that into account, if we're doing the quarterback part, Texas over Georgia. But coach, Georgia over Texas. If we want to complete the Preston Thorne trifecta, Colin Simmons at edge rusher is better than anybody that Georgia has. Right. Georgia still had a little bit of a problem getting to the quarterback last year. They did not have a great pass rush, which is kind of odd considering they've been really good at doing that the last couple of years. Last year it wasn't as productive as it's been. And when you think Georgia football, you think much better on the defensive line. They were a good run defense, and that's kind of their strength. They're maybe a better run defense than Texas is. But Colin Simmons alone is much more gifted at getting to a passer than you'll see on Georgia's roster. So I guess it'd be slight edge over Texas. But both of those teams are the two in the SEC where I say, no doubt, I think you guys are both college football championship, national title contenders. But then I'll sprinkle in some other teams as legitimate playoff contenders.
I'm interested to see how Texas is going to look the first 4 games where you got to play Ohio State the second game, and then you got to go on the road to play Tennessee versus with Georgia. You only playing Arkansas the third game and then got to play Oklahoma. So just kind of to see where they are 4 games into the season will be very interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, too. Yes, Texas starts off their season. They host Texas State. Then they host Ohio State. They get the Ohio State game at home this year. I think that's going to help. And they have the Roadrunners at UTSA, meet, and then they go at Tennessee. That's their first 4 games, and they have a bye after that. And then if you look at Georgia's schedule, they start off against Tennessee State, LOL. They'll play Western Kentucky, and then they go at Arkansas. I've got to do it. Arkansas and Mississippi State, the 2 teams I have in Weenie Hut Juniors for a reason. But then their season starts September 26th because they get Oklahoma at home. I like to call that the we sued the NCAA before it was cool bowl in the 80s for our television rights. But then we get to revive that. But that would be really when Georgia's season starts. And they have maybe some more scheduling breaks, too, than maybe some of the other contenders in the SEC. But when I look at national title contenders, if there's a team that's going to break the SEC national championship streak, if I'm Greg Sankey, the 2 that I'm relying on the most will be Georgia and Texas still, which I don't think is too terribly surprising. But coming up next, though, it's the early game morning meeting, and we'll have a little bit of a history lesson. South Carolina's coming off of a 4-win season, and it feels like it makes things a little more interesting this year. But what is the historical precedent in the SEC era of Gamecock football of following up seasons of 4 wins or fewer? Well, we'll dive into that history lesson next here in the early game.
This is Jalen Tar here with the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Report here on 107.5 The Game. We still have the accident reported here in Lexington County at North Lake Drive, at Lynn Creek Drive, and long-term road construction and intersection improvements in Richland County and Lexington County. If you need to seek an alternative route, please do so immediately. We have more coming up on the early game with Preston Thorne and Elijah Campbell here on 107.5 The Game.
South Carolina is entering this football season coming off a 4-8 season in 2025. Not what you wanted, but we'll see what history has to say about whether or not you should be optimistic that things can be turned around, and that's what we're doing for today's morning meeting.
Good morning. Repeat after me. Today will be an awesome day.
And an awesome week.
Let's go. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
Especially when in the morning meeting we get a history lesson. Preston Thorne, that was my favorite subject in school.
My type of guy. My type of guy. It was my favorite subject in school. So much that I decided to teach it.
See, I've thought if I was ever going to be a full-time teacher, that is what I would teach. The only subject in which I actually pushed myself, I was not an ambitious student in high school.
That makes two of us.
I was worried about other things, right? Worried about other things in high school, more so than what my grades were going to be.
I infamously had a report card come home, whatever the lowest B I could get, because I had to get B's to make sure everything was copacetic in the household. But whatever the lowest one I could pull, that was where I was at, baby.
80s.
Pull me that
Straight
80.
80.
Pull me that 80, 81. I'm right in the game.
When it came to history, the only AP classes I ever took were in history.
Feel you.
I loved it. Just loved it. So
I'm looking forward to this because I do not know the answers to these.
So when it comes to looking at historical precedent of how South Carolina bounces back from seasons of 4 wins or fewer, I thought we'd just go to the modern game, right? The SEC era. I was like, do I go to 1970, 1980 independent era ACC? And I was like, nah, we'll just straight up SEC, right? Since South Carolina joined the SEC in 1992, how have they followed up 4-win seasons? Well, in 1993, Sparky Woods went 4-7. He was no longer the head coach in 1994. Brad Scott takes over the job, and they go from 4 wins to 7 the following year in a CarQuest Bowl win, the first ever bowl victory for the South Carolina game.
And then may I point out for those listening since we're doing history here, Brad Scott, much maligned, but remember, he was the offensive coordinator of that wonderful Florida State offense. So it may not have worked, but it doesn't mean it was the wrong guy to get.
That's right. Hindsight can be 20/20. At the time, you're like, oh, that guy led Charlie Ward in that offense to what? Sign me up.
100%.
And I wasn't around at that time, but I think I would have been on board with that 100%.
Yeah.
In the context, I would have been on board, and I think what happened after that 94 season, unforeseeable, right? Especially since in 94, in year 1, he does something that you have not done in your program's history, win a bowl game, right? But then in 1995, a 4-win season under Brad Scott, they went 4-6-1, and then in 1996, a 2-win improvement. They go over 500, 6-5 after that. The next 4 wins or fewer season came in 1998. Not much longer after that, they go 1-10. And then the following year, because the 1-10 season got Brad Scott fired, that was then Lou Holtz's first season after that, they infamously went 0-11 in 1999.
A 1-21 stretch.
Not good.
Not fun.
Not good. But that was the first time in the 90s where you did follow up a 4 wins or fewer season with a worse record. Then, of course, that naturally leads you to the next season, 1999, won 0 games. In 2000, you win 8, and you get that Outback Bowl win over Ohio State. You don't have another 4 win or less season until 2015.
Okay.
So notice we had, 4 of those seasons in the 90s. You don't have one in the aughts at all. And then in 2015, Steve Spurrier's final year, did not coach the entire season, infamously. You go 3-9, hire Will Muschamp, and then the year after that, you double your win total, you win 6 games, and you go back to the Birmingham Bowl where you took a loss.
Mm-hmm.
So that was another 4 win or fewer season in which you were better the next year, and at least playing in a bowl game. 2019, you go 4-8. But in 2020, you followed it up with 2-8 in the COVID season. Will Muschamp fired in the middle of the year. So only the second time you followed it up with a worse season. In 2020, obviously 2-8, like we mentioned. Muschamp fired, Shane Beamer hired. In 2021, you go 7-6 with a Mayo Bowl win. So that has happened 8 times since you joined the Southeastern Conference. You have had seasons of 4 wins or fewer in 8 seasons. Now 9. But obviously, in terms of counting history, we don't know what 2026 has, so we can't add that into the data set here. But 8 times you've had seasons of 4 wins or fewer, and 4 of those times you made a bowl game the following season. 4 winning seasons after that, all but 2 of those seasons did you improve your record from the previous year.
So the thing about being a historian, studying history, is you start to get pattern recognition. And one of the patterns, or the pattern that I picked out, the one that stood out to me the most, was that if you have a 4 wins or less season and you do not improve the next season, you will be fired.
Yep, you're done. Yeah, that is another thing I noted here. 4 seasons where a coaching change is made soon after.
So here we are.
Yep, I think that is totally fair.
And so I think that's the historical precedent states that Shane Beamer's seat is hot.
Mm-hmm. It does.
For our university.
Agreed.
It just states that. I really like this exercise because now we're not talking about opinions. We're talking about historical precedent that said that if you win 4 games or less 2 years in a row at this university, you're on the way out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel better about I feel better about espousing maybe some of those opinions now with some historical precedent behind me, or anybody else who you may feel that way, but now you have history behind you to say that this is what has happened at our university based on these numbers.
Yeah, because a lot of the discourse around like hot seat talk usually goes into the area of, well, what is a fair expectation at South Carolina, right? What is a fair expectation for what a coach should be year in and year out? This at least shows you that if you don't follow up a 4-win season with improvement, then that's the end of the road.
Now, where the conversation may get a little muddy is about expectations.
Yes.
Because these previous coaches, like Brad Scott, he had a 4-win season and he finished it up and he improved with 6. I don't know if 6 is going to make folks happy at this moment where we are in our current history. So that's where the conversation changes a little bit.
Yeah, that's where the nuance comes in a little bit, and you kind of have to go a little bit deeper in that regard. Does it make you feel any better, though, that there will be improvement? Now, this is the first time that Shane Beamer's had such a season, so we don't have any historical precedent to tell us whether or not this is a specialty of his, of bouncing back. But would this make you feel better just in terms of the program's history, that they have the ability to have a special season next year, or this year?
The ability to have, I do think they will improve. Special season is yet to be determined.
Yeah, that's the tough thing, is differentiating that. But I thought it'd be worthwhile to go and have
a great exercise.
A little bit of a history lesson. I got a wild hair yesterday and said, you know what, let's hit up the college football reference page and see what type of precedent we have. But coming up next, though, corruption is only good if we're involved, and we'll elaborate coming up next year in the early game. just got done having an entire segment about historical precedent. And that's as it relates to 4-win seasons in football. But if you want to talk about historical precedent when it comes to getting out of your personal income tax issues or business tax issues, the precedent says go to Ecton Law Firm. Hit up John Ecton and his team at the Ecton Law Firm at 803-771-9800. Set up that free consultation. And then historically speaking, you are going to be in a much better position for success because at the Ecton Law Firm, they have a local team that's been resolving these type of income or business tax issues for decades here in the state of South Carolina. It's that proven history that is going to be your peace of mind. It's that proof of concept that leads you to fully trust John and his team at the Ecton Law Firm with those proven local solutions that have helped thousands of families and businesses just like yours get out of that IRS maze. Again, 803-771-9800 or visit them at ectonlawfirm.com.
This is Jalen Latari here with the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Report here on 107.5 The Game. We have a disabled vehicle in Lexington County on I-20 eastbound at Highway 34, exit 44, and an accident reported still at North Lake Drive at Lynn Creek Drive in Lexington County. And then it's just heavy traffic on Two Notch Road southbound between Sparkleberry Lane and I-20. And we also have long-term road construction in Richland and Lexington County. If you need to seek an alternative route, please do so immediately. The temperature right now, It's pretty nice, about 76 degrees, and the high will be 96 degrees around 2 o'clock. We have more coverage coming up here on the early game with Preston Thorne and Elijah Campbell here on 107.5 The Game.
Corruption is not bad. Corruption is only bad if I'm not involved.
Yes.
But if I'm part of that corruption, I'll defend it.
I defend it. So when FIFA suspends the red card of their best player, their best goal scorer, Valerian Balogun, I defend it. It's amazing how you feel when you see something that ridiculous happen yesterday, because I do think on the surface it is a little ridiculous for the league to be like, hey, we know, the organization, not a league, but the organization say, hey, we have these hard and fast rules with no appeal process. This is the result. You have to live with it. And then just, I don't know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4 days later, say, you know what? Just kidding. You get to play. On the surface, that would make me mad if that happened for anybody else. But when it happens to us, and us standing for United States, I defend it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is probably the most soccer-esque drama because, first off, I mean, was it even that bad of a thing?
No.
Was it even?
I have seen significantly worse red cards given out.
It wasn't even that bad of a thing. It wasn't called at the moment. They had to go review it. Once they reviewed it, they came back. Then they said it was a red card.
Targeting.
So it was this whole situation around it. But yes, that being said, it was a red card, and we were all told for 3 days, and we were all down in the dumps about it. But FIFA comes to the rescue because FIFA is a nakedly corrupt organization, and they can and will be swayed. And I present that when an organization presents themselves as being easily swayed, then it's fair game. We know the rules now.
We know how this works.
Hey, you know what they need?
Just a little bit of money, baby.
Just grease the wheels a little bit, baby.
When we say everybody's got a price, that means us too.
We was talking about the club earlier. And now, Elijah, about the statute of limitations is up.
We're about to reveal something, aren't we?
The statute of limitations is up. But all I'm saying is, if there's a longer line and somebody wants to get to the front of the line,
got to pay that extra charge for the skid fee.
We all know how we can get there, baby. We all know.
You know how. I mean,
Disney World calls it a fast pass.
Really, it's the same.
It's the same concept.
Thing. Yeah.
Same concept. Listen, man.
You paid your fast pass.
We had to get this done. And we were protected by Article 27, which states that I can change my mind at any moment.
Just do whatever we want. What's more fun, though? The fact that you get Valerian Balogun for this game, your best player, with a chance to make it to the quarterfinals of this event for the first time since 2002, or the fact that you got to make Europe really mad as an entire continent, or at least the country of Belgium, where their head coach in their native tongue yesterday in a press conference says, I didn't know July 5th was April Fool's Day. How delicious are the tears on the internet?
This means you have to go out there and win this game.
You have to.
You got to win this game now.
So then it'd feel like a failure.
Apparently, somebody in the YouTube chat said that Belgium is trying to appeal this.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I don't see how you're doing that on the day of your game.
How much money you got?
Let me ask. Yeah, well, hey, listen. Wait,
A lot.
Now the question is, who are they appealing this to? The organization that just rescinded the.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Hey, the same way Qatar was able to host this event 4 years ago, enough to make us change the dates of the tournament to where it was going to be played in the fall and winter because the country is uninhabitable in the summer. That same organization is who you're dealing with. Yeah, sorry, Belgium. Good luck. How much coin you willing to drop here? Maybe they do drop a bag. Maybe they dip into their reserve, and then we'll get a notification an hour before game time that they have unfrozen the red card.
I like it. I like it.
And then can America, in an hour until the game starts, be able to one-up that bid?
You just have a FIFA official. He just comes out and just puts his hands out on either side and just decide
Which side is going to dip a little bit more? Yeah.
which scale goes
Which
further.
scale goes? Which one's a little heavier? FIFA sitting here looking at Belgium. Belgium's like, how much is it going to cost for us to, to be able to overrule this or, reverse this decision?
In the words of J. Cole, a lot.
A lot, yeah. How much is this going to catch? What's the price here? FIFA's like, I'm not asking. That's not the question. The question is, how much money do you got?
What you got?
Yeah. What are you? What do you have? Right. What are your resources here? Then we'll talk about price here, or if that's even a starter.
But you gave the great example earlier. Listen, if you watch college football, you're very familiar with the selective suspensions, right? You know how you can suspend somebody for a non-con game or maybe game 4. Something like that. We understand how this works.
Michigan did it with Sharon Moore.
We get it.
Got a suspension at the beginning of the year as the fall guy for Jim Harbaugh and the whole sign stealing scandal. And they said, we know suspended the first 3 games, but he'll let him coach the Oklahoma game. Right. So it's a 3-game suspension, but he'll miss games 1, 2, and 4 because we're going to let him coach the game at Oklahoma. We're levying the suspension. These are our rules here.
And everybody's confused of like, why is he only coaching this one game? Like, what?
And they said it was because, he played at Oklahoma. It's a homecoming game for him. Well, would it be a homecoming game for him if they were playing Eastern Michigan? Probably not. You wouldn't care. You would not care. That is how all of this works. But what happens tonight, though, if you just get down to like the soccer part of this, I am so much more excited. Now, I was under the mindset of, hey, just win anyway, right? You proved that you could win without him and being a man down against Bosnia, and you played incredibly well. The vibes of this team right now are as good as it has ever been, at least in my lifetime. This is the best I've ever felt about United States soccer and their chances of winning anything in the World Cup. Winning the entire event's not something that I ever really considered, but this is the best that they've ever looked, and at least maybe the most contentious, I think, that they have been in this time. And the hope that I have here too, Preston Thorne, is that you're younger, you're fresher, you're more energized. Belgium's on their last leg. Their golden generation of players here with Romelu Lukaku, Kevin De Bruyne, Thibaut Courtois, those guys played in the game in 2014 when Belgium beat the United States in the round of 16.
2014 was a long time ago, though.
That was 12 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, 12 years. And that was the game that America still almost won because Tim Howard played the game of his life.
So if I'm just coming to this, okay, I'm in now. You got me. Who is the better squad full with everybody playing? Who is the better squad?
I think it's probably just from a roster standpoint, probably still a toss-up.
Toss-up.
Yeah. Belgium's still really good. I'm not going to get on here and say that, they're buns.
So what's the deciding factor that gets USMT over the top?
I think the deciding factor is if Christian Pulisic shows up. Mm-hmm. Because he's created a lot of those Flair and Balogun chances, those goals, the ability for him to be able to get into his spots. Pulisic is still a guy that makes a lot of that run. He's been the golden boy of American soccer. Balogun's become a household name here in the last 3.5 weeks. But Pulisic is the guy that's supposed to be the savior of U.S. soccer, the one that was a teenage prodigy, the one that, even as a teenager is playing overseas because he's so good in the big leagues of soccer, like the Premier League or the Italian League. That's what he's been. He's got to be that for that to happen. But I think the vibes of this team are so good, and I think Mauricio Pochettino's got them actually believing, too, that they can win this whole thing, that the way they've been coached and the way they address everything and the way they didn't flinch when they went down their best player and had to play with 10 guys leads me to believe that they're at a better trajectory right now than Belgium. That and the age thing, I think, helps. Like, I would pick the United States to win this game because of everything involved. So that's tonight, 8 o'clock, Fox Sports. You can also catch the game at the British Bulldog. Highly recommend going to the Dog and watching this game. But coming up next, we have an All-Star game in a couple of weeks, and it may be one of the weirdest All-Star games we have ever witnessed in our lives, and I'll tell you why coming up next. Oh, it's summer. And if you had a busy holiday weekend, you know that there are house visits, there are parties, it's cookouts, family visits, plenty of weekend guests, especially this past weekend. It's more time spent at home. So in honor of the summer of 2026, my friends at Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning are giving you the best reason they can to refresh your entire home, because they're getting 26% off all services. Carpet, check, that's 26% off. Air ducts, check, that's 26% 26% off. Upholstery, tile, and grout, hey, 26% off all of that too. And with the patented zero water technology, Zero Res is going to make sure those carpets are cleaner and they stay cleaner for longer. And appointments, trust me, with a deal like this are going to fill up really fast. So don't wait. Use promo code SUMMER when you book at ZeroResColumbia.com and get 26% off all services. Preston Thorne, when Jared Parker from Watch Fox is hanging out with us here in studio, when he was in for you last week.
Appreciate that, Jared.
Jared's the man. We did a list of our favorite summer sporting events because it's list season. And I had Major League Baseball's All-Star Game really high up on the list.
Really?
It's one of my favorites. I think I had it like
The Midsummer Classic.
I love the Midsummer Classic.
That is fascinating.
Your microphone's like, really? Bart?
Interesting. Okay, what is it about the All-Star Game that gets your attention?
To me, because I love baseball so much, and I'm not going to pay for MLB TV or anything like that. I'm really at the mercy of whatever national game is on, and the Braves, right, locally. And, you know, my favorite team is bad 9 out of every 10 years. So I get discouraged of watching them play, or I don't even want to watch them play by the time July normally rolls around. This year is the same way. So the All-Star Game has this, the collection of everybody. They have the rule that everybody has to be represented. So there's at least one player for everybody. I love seeing pitching and hitting matchups that you might not see during the regular season. I love usually kind of just like the ambiance of it too. Like it is a fun event, and they're usually pretty competitive. So it's one of those things I've just always really enjoyed. I like seeing a different pitcher each inning. I love the display and celebration of the game of baseball where all the best players are in one place. This year, though, maybe a little bit different. This year may be the weirdest All-Star game that we've ever seen in the history of Major League Baseball, mostly because of the players that won't be able to play. Aaron Judge, who was voted in as a starter, is going to miss the game. Mike Trout still on the injured list, even though he's hoping to play, but he's been dealing with an injury for the last month and some change, right?
3 years.
Yeah. You have some guys who have been mainstays in this game that are just not good, right? Jose Ramirez from the Guardians, one of those guys, one of my favorite players to watch. He's been bad this year, and he's hurt. So bad and hurt. Cal Raleigh, last year, one of last year's best players, the runner-up for American League MVP, is hitting below 200. He stinks. He's not missing the All-Star game because he's hurt. He's missing the All-Star game because he sucks right now. That's why. Guys like Manny Machado are hitting under 200. But then you have guys that are voted in as starters, like Vlad Guerrero Jr. has been awful this year. He has been terrible. Voted in as a starter. You know who the American League leading vote getter was by fans? Ernie Clement. Do you know who Ernie Clement is, Preston Thorne?
I was about to feel bad because I do not know who that is. I'm looking at the list. I see that he plays second base for the Blue Jays. Cool.
Second base for the Blue Jays, the leading vote getter in the American League.
Is that some type of fan thing that happened on Reddit that they decided to get behind this guy or something like that?
Has to be, and I don't know how I would have missed it, but the 42 and 48 Toronto Blue Jays have almost as much players in this All-Star game, almost as much as the Los Angeles Dodgers do. They're 42 and 48. They stink to high heavens. Ernie Clement, this is the stat line here. 7 home runs, 29 RBI, hitting .293, an OPS of 745, which is just a tick above league average. It's good. They're good numbers. And for Ernie Clement, he's a solid player. He's a good player. But to get more votes than guys like Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, all of the good players in the American League is insane to me, Preston Thorne. I saw that, and I thought the article was fake. When it came out on Saturday night, I thought it was fake. I had to double check and make sure I was reading that correctly.
I mean, my only piece of analysis I have for this is that we don't make Ernies anymore, do we?
I don't think we do. I think the Ernie factory might be closed for good.
He's got to be one of the clear. Maybe
he's born in 1996. I think the Ernie factory would have been closed maybe a year or two after. I went to school with one Ernie. I don't know many other Ernies that are younger than me.
Maybe
I know Ernie from church.
Okay.
What would you guess the age is for Ernie from church?
Like 65.
That's what I figured.
Because that's not a common name in this generation.
I just don't think we do Ernie unless he's Ernesto.
Right?
Yeah.
And then that might be a thing. But even I would even position that Ernesto is still probably one that's fading.
I was getting ready to say.
Is there a junior behind that?
Is the Ernie factory maybe more akin to Blockbuster than we may think? Like we just don't have them anymore? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the first thing that struck. I was like, Ernie, okay, I don't know if we're doing that anymore, but cool.
Based off of the conversation we had of people that we know named Puddin on this program a month or two ago, there are more Puddins that I can account for than Ernies or Ernests.
I can. Again, maybe he's Ernesto, but I still even feel like Ernesto is a very traditional Hispanic name. So I don't even feel like that's a newer name. So Ernie is the one that I would have to look at it and see what the story is behind that. But shout out to Ernie because apparently he's the leading vote getter.
He did it. He did it. And guys like Bryce Harper's having a great year. He's a star.
Yes.
He wasn't voted in. He was basically the league's legend pick.
So is there funny business happening with the voting? Is that what we're saying?
There's been some funny business with the voting. Oh, and Jacob Mizorowski, the guy who's maybe the most fun pitcher to watch in baseball, a guy who topped 105 miles per hour on multiple pitches last week, is not going to be able to pitch because he has a scheduled start like 2 days before.
Wow.
I love the All-Star game, but it's going to be a little weird this year taking place in Philadelphia. Hour number 3 coming up. Phil Steele, the man from the magazine himself, joins us next. Look, if you are not locked in on this international tournament, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what else you need to be able to see in order to get invested on all of this dramatic action going on right now here in this tournament, because we are in the knockout stage. Stoppage time heartbreak is happening. Great games are happening. You can get in on the action with DraftKings Sports because the DraftKings Sports app is now live in South Carolina. So it doesn't matter if you're catching the early kickoff or the late kickoff tonight. You can get in on the action with DraftKings. New DraftKings customers can sign up with code 1075TheGame, spend $5 to get $200 in total rewards. That's code 1075TheGame. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Event trading offered by DraftKings Predictions, a CFTC registered introducing broker. Trading involves risk of loss. Market availability varies. Eligibility restrictions apply. $50 every 7 days via click to claim. Issued non-withdrawable predictions dollars.
This is the Shoulders Towing Traffic Report here on 107.5 The Game. We have an accident in Richland County, several accidents in Richland County, Lexington County. One accident on Assembly Street at Elmwood Avenue, Hardscrabble Road at Lee Road, a disabled vehicle on I-20 eastbound at Highway 34, and an accident still being worked on at North Lake Drive, at Lynn Creek Drive in Lexington, and Spears Creek Church Road at Earth Road in Richland County. Now, we also do have long-term road construction in Richland and Lexington County, so if you need to seek an alternative route, please do so immediately. The temperature right now is pretty nice, 78 degrees. It will get hotter, where the high will be 96 degrees. We have more on the third hour of the game.
The early game third and long hour starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Northeast Columbia resident Preston Thorne. He's Jalen Tart producing the show, and our man Thomas is back in the video production room here at Studio 803. We're waiting for Phil Steele to call in and help us preview this college football season. And I'll go ahead and say this. I bought my edition yesterday, holding it here in my hand for you to see on the video stream. This is a must-have every single offseason. It is the most detailed college football annual that you will ever find.
Packed, bound, paper. You can flip through it.
Yes. Oh,
You gotta love it, and I believe we're ready to go with the man.
The man himself, Phil Steele, the one and only, joins us right now. Phil, appreciate you kicking off your radio tour here with us. It's always great to hear from you. Like I mentioned earlier, I got my copy, been flipping through it already. Still, there's so much in here that I have a lot more I need to dig into, but appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us this morning.
Hey, and you guys are number one this season. You're the first show that we're doing. We always wait till the magazine's officially on sale at Barnes & Noble, and so you guys are officially kicking off the radio season for me.
Let's go.
It is a badge of honor. This is great. Phil Steele's first radio appearance right here in beautiful Columbia, South Carolina, and that's where we're going to start, Phil. We'll start here with the South Carolina Gamecock team. Coming off a 4-8 season, I think the discourse around this team is, I know, it's much different here in July of 26 than it was July of 25. But when you look at maybe some of the failures of last year with what happened in the offseason with South Carolina, what should give Carolina fans maybe the most hope and enthusiasm that things can be turned around despite playing in a league like this?
Yeah, and this year I am bullish on South Carolina. I've put them on my most improved list. 2 years ago, South Carolina was coming off a 5-7 season. I put them on my most improved list. They got to 9-4. Now, last year, South Carolina fans weren't too happy for me, with me, I should say. I picked them low. They were considered a national title playoff contender, and I had them 10th in the SEC. But a lot of that was due to the defense. And, I thought they lost too much from the defensive front seven last year. And even with that, you go back to the Alabama game. They led that thing 22-14, 10 minutes to go. They had a shot to win that. A&M up 30-3 at the half. Sorry to open up some wounds there, guys. But I think they're going to be improved, especially at that linebacker position. That's probably one of the more experienced units, probably the strength of the team this year. And then offensively, you got Lenore Sellers back. Remember, he got injured against Vanderbilt. Took a few games to get back. I think he's going to have the type of year more towards what he was playing at the end of 2024. And then let's look at the offensive line as well. Back in 24, they didn't have any injuries on the offensive line. They had one start missed all year. Last year, the injuries cropped up. They fired their OL coach mid-year. They dropped to 111 yards per game rush, allowed 43 sacks. I think if you look at the offensive line this year, they added 7 offensive linemen that were full-time starters. And really, when you add transfers, you want to add guys with experience. So I'm looking for a stock market bounce from that offensive line, a more improved run game, Lenore Sellers back to form, and a defense which was decent last year, but I think they're going to be better this year, especially at the linebacker core, the strength of the team. So add it all up, I'm much more bullish on South Carolina this year than I was last year.
Phil Steele's on with us right now from the Phil Steele College Football Preview. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. You can order it online. I went to Barnes & Noble on Garner's Ferry yesterday and picked up mine. Recommend you do the same thing. And Phil, you mentioned the offensive line. That's really kind of dominated a lot of the discussion we've had here in the offseason. Is what is this offensive line going to be? Can it be acceptable enough for Kendall Briles' offense to be able to hum? But my question for you here is, when you've studied these rosters, and we're so far into the transfer portal era now that you have seen a lot of offensive lines that have been built through the transfer portal, is there any good historical precedent that I think that you've maybe noticed over the years where a team does build an offensive line strictly through the portal and is able to immediately have a bounce back year from one year to the next?
Well, you have to factor in different things when you're looking for a bounce back year. And as mentioned, you go back to last year, there was plenty of injuries on the offensive line and then firing the offensive line coach mid-year. So generally, you're going to see improvement. Now, I can tell you, being on the Joe Moore Award, the Joe Moore guys feel that the offensive line play overall in college football is down because of the transfer portal. There's not as much cohesion on the offensive line. It's tough to build. But when you look at South Carolina, the things I like is the fact that they brought in experienced guys who have started, and then you have those extended practices now where you can practice a little more over the fall to get together, cohesion, and then of course you've got all of August to get together. So I think we're going to see enough players come in where there's definitely going to be improvement on the offensive line, especially after what happened last year.
Phil, one of my favorite things about what you do too is your specific metrics, right? Try to find out, what makes good luck, like turnover differential and things of that nature, to try to find maybe the bounce back teams in college football. I think one thing for South Carolina that Gamecock fans, maybe your more optimistic ones, kind of hang their hat on, is the fact that you did lose a lot of close games last year. Like you mentioned the Texas A&M loss. You had a 27-point lead at halftime. You mentioned the Alabama loss. You had a lead in the fourth quarter. We saw a lot of one-score or very tight losses where you're going into the fourth quarter and it's a hotly contested game. You just couldn't pull it through. But what do you think is maybe the most important thing for a team like South Carolina to have that kind of bad close game luck get reversed just from one year to the next?
Yeah, and the metric articles I started in the magazine back in 1995, the first one was turnovers equals turnaround, which was double-digit turnovers. If you benefit from them one year, you're going to go weaker record the next year, and vice versa if you had negative double-digit turnovers. And so after that, a few years later, I started the close wins, close losses one, and it really is true to form. And if you take a look at those games, if you lose a game by, a point or 3 points or anything less than a touchdown, you're looking at the fact that you're basically one play away from actually winning the game as opposed to losing the game. So you're much better than your record, and it generally shows. So I did all the metrics and have been doing it for years, and once again, it comes up about 75%. If you lose a lot of close games one year, the next year you get that improvement. Of course, keeping Lenore Sellers healthy is a big plus, keeping the offensive line healthy, and I think if the offensive line's healthy at the end of the year, that helps you win those games. It helps you run the football at the end of the game, control the clock if you're ahead late in the game. Also, in the red zone, it helps you out. So I think the improvement for South Carolina in the offensive line, linebacking core, and quarterback are probably the three main areas that will help you win those close games.
Phil Steele's on with us right now. And Phil, in your position rankings, I saw South Carolina, especially at wide receiver, top 15. You mentioned the linebacking group being maybe the best on this team right now, maybe in terms of depth and the talent they have coming back. But what's maybe the one of the most intrigue to you that you think might actually end up making or breaking this season?
I would have to say, really, when you look at the team, to me, the offensive line is going to be the key to whether or not, if they show the improvement I expect, that to me is going to be the key to this season. But another one to look at is probably a little bit the defensive line. I like the talent there. Dylan Stewart, you lose 3 starters, but I like the overall talent that they brought in to replace them. Brownlow Dindy at the defensive tackle spot, I think he is powerful. He is 311 pounds in the middle. That's going to be a nice force to have. And, Coach Beamer told me this group reminds him a lot of 2024's group with 6 defensive tackles that can play in good depth at defensive end. So I think if the defensive end line can be anywhere near as dominant as it was in 2024 and the offensive line pulls together, those are probably going to be the keys.
Phil, when it comes to surprise teams, in the Southeastern Conference, who do you think may be the biggest spoiler that people just, I guess, national media types maybe haven't really tapped into just yet?
Well, my number one surprise team this year is Alabama. That's because they're sort of being discounted coming into the season. So it didn't sound like your question was looking for a team like that, though. I'm going to say, how about Tennessee? I think when you look at Tennessee this year, the big question for me might be on the defensive side of the ball. They're bringing in a new defense coordinator in Jim Knowles. The one thing I've noticed about Jim Knowles, usually it takes 2 years for his defense to come together. But if he can get that defense to come together and be improved, they got more talent this year than they did last year. And if they get good quarterback play, and I know you look at last year and you say, well, you have to have a returning veteran starter, right? Well, guess what? Ohio State did pretty well with a first-year starter. Notre Dame did pretty well with a first-year young starter. So if Tennessee can get that production, and Josh Heupel usually does, they've got a schedule that could possibly get there. They face just one upper half team on the road, Texas A&M. They've got 5 SEC home games this year. Good surrounding talent for that young quarterback, and the young quarterback may surprise this year.
Phil, thank you for telling us all the information we needed to know about our local Gamecock team, but there's one other team within the state, which we will not name, that we need to know some information about. They wear purple pants. Can you give us what we need to know about those folks in the upstate?
Yeah, I think when you look at, I can say the name, you guys can't, but it's when you look at Clemson this year, I think first of all they've got to play better at home. Last year they were 3-4 at home. That's just unacceptable. It was their first losing season at home in forever. I think they're going to actually get quarterback play up to last year's standards, because last year a lot was expected out of Cade Klubnik. Didn't really happen, but I think Vizina or Tate Reynolds could step in and do a good job. I like what they've got a receiver with TJ Moore and Wesco. They were banged up a receiver again last year. The defense looks solid. I like Sammy Brown. And really, when you look at their schedule this year, the games I've got them an underdog in. You look at LSU. They're a slight underdog there, and then home against Miami. But the rest of the schedule is actually very, very set up well. Their road games are Syracuse. Florida State's a winnable one. Cal's a winnable one. Duke's a winnable one. If they can get that home edge back, and they play one of the better schedules in the ACC this year, then I think Clemson's actually going to be a contender in the ACC. I know you guys didn't want to hear that.
We appreciate knowing that going into the season, though.
Yeah, or at least as long as they're not contending in the last week in November, then folks around here would be pretty thrilled with that. Maybe it makes beating them a little sweeter if they are really good. 2 different ways that you can look at that right there. Phil Steele's on with us right now. And Phil, in terms of last year, there were a lot of disappointments. Clemson being one of those disappointments. Penn State being one of those too. Was there a team this year that is going to be maybe viewed as a consensus top 10 team that you're just not biting on this year?
The one that I'm probably looking at might be LSU, and I think LSU probably comes into the season possibly in the top 10, but they have a rugged schedule. They are practically a new team, and I did a new thing in the magazine this year. It's called the Homegrown Factor, which talks about teams that recruit freshmen, and then they stay through all the way through. Alabama, Georgia are 2 of the teams at the top of the SEC. This LSU team is almost completely rebuilt. They have very little coming back from last year. They've got 2 offensive linemen. They've got Whit Weeks coming back at linebacker, and a couple of good cornerbacks in P.J. Woodland and Tamari Cooley. But I don't think they're going to be top 10 level. I think when you look at the schedule this year, they play at Ole Miss, where I've got them a dog. The Texas A&M game to me is a toss-up. The Clemson game could be a toss-up early. They have to play at Auburn. They host Alabama, and Alabama handled them last year again. They host Texas. That's going to be a rough one. Texas, I think, with Arch Manning, is much improved at the end of the year. That Tennessee team that we talked about. So there's the potential for this LSU team to lose 4 or 5 games this year. I don't think they'll be a top 10 team coming in at the end of the year, but I do think they might be a top 10 team at the start of the year in the AP poll.
I'm here for the storyline. If they lose to Ole Miss at Ole Miss, I'm here for the chaos that may ensue. Last thing for you here, Phil. One thing I love about your magazine, too, is how much interaction you get with these coaches. And, of course, all coaches are optimistic going into the season. But in your years of doing this, have you ever actually had a coach that was like, hey man, between you and me, this is gonna be bad. This isn't gonna be a lot of fun.
You know, here's the best one that I had, and it would be Bowling Green. Their head coach, Scott Locklear, said the first time I talked to him, he goes, okay, here's the story, Phil. It's a 5-year plan. This first year, we're going to suck. The second year, we're going to suck less. The third year, we're going to be okay. The fourth year, we'll start to be competitive. And the fifth year, we'll get ourselves to a bowl game. And he just laid it right out, and that's exactly what happened at Bowling Green.
Wow.
Scott Loeffler.
Scott,
winner.
Yes, yeah, winner. Yeah, Coach Loeffler. Yeah, that is. Hey, I love the honesty. That's my thing. I love the honesty there. If you're calling Phil and saying, "Hey, we're gonna suck next year," I can appreciate that level of honesty. I can also appreciate our man Phil Steele. Phil, appreciate the time as always, and looking forward to thumbing through the rest of this magazine, and looking forward to talking to you again this time next year.
Sounds good. 370 pages you got to thumb through there, and it's not 12 point on 14 like a third grade book report. It's like 7-point type. So you got a lot of reading to do this summer, my friends.
It is, yeah. My summer reading list in the month of July consists of only one thing, and that is this. That's Phil Steele. Appreciate Phil as always. Get your copy at Barnes & Noble, or you can order it online at philsteele.com. But coming up next, here on the early game, busy sports weekend, our man Preston Thorne gives us the accolades with Thorns, Buds, and Roses.
Going to be 104 today in Columbia. That is a possibility. And if that's the truth, then you might need to call the folks from AAA Heating and Air. The folks from AAA Heating and Air will make your home comfort their top priority. You don't have to wait any longer. It's July. It's going to be hot. You know that. So get prepared. The expert technicians are ready to get your system working in prime condition with thorough seasonal inspection. And if you want peace of mind, call AAA Comfort Club today, where members enjoy priority scheduling, flexible visits, and exclusive discounts on future services. Take your home comfort to the next level and beat the heat, because it is here. Call AAA Heating and Air today at 803-920-3771. That's 803-920-3771.
Messy. No Leo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is Jalen Tar here with the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Report here on 107.5 The Game. And we have an accident still reporting in Richland and Lexington County, Assembly Street at Elmwood Avenue, Hardscrabble Road at Lee Road in Lexington County, and I-20 eastbound at Highway 34, exit 44. I-20 eastbound again at Bush River Road, exit 63, and still at North Lake Drive, at Lynn Creek Drive, and back in Richland County, Spears Creek Church Road, at Earth Road, near Wood Creek Farms. And another accident reported in Florence. If you're in Florence, please seek an alternative route. We also have long-term road construction. And today's weather right now is 79 degrees, and we'll have more on 175 The Game.
It's a Monday. It's the second segment of the early game, third and long hour, which means it's time to recap the weekend with only one method, and that is by giving out some thorns, buds, and roses.
It's time for Thorns, Buds, and Roses with Preston Thorne on the early game, 107.5 The Game.
All right, Elijah, big time weekend for a lot of niche sports. Wimbledon's cracking. I didn't get a chance to address this, but Serena, you are the GOAT. Relax. Listen, Father Time is undefeated.
Father Time got a Denny Green Award last week because of this.
We know exactly. He is who we thought he was. It is very difficult to come back and be who you were. So just relax. But that's not my thorn. I took on VAR last week because I just genuinely have beef with instant replay, and I'm glad we're going to have some of that discussion today. But today I want to take on another topic. Flopping. Listen, man.
Do be happening.
I have actually no issue with flopping in soccer because it's part of the whole culture. It's part of the thing. It is part of it. I saw a dude yesterday get barely nicked in his shin, and he barrel rolled 4 times in hoping to get somebody to notice that he got kicked. I saw another dude yesterday holding his player. Actually, it was Mbappe. He was holding the player, waiting till the ref saw him, and then he fell out. And he fell out like he got assassinated on the field. It's a beautiful thing in soccer. What I don't like is how this has infiltrated our other sports. Don't give me no flopping in football. It's happening. It's happening more often. You quarterbacks, remember, Gamecock fans, we were a victim. Garrett Nussmeier took his cue from FIFA, flopped on the hit from our guy, and history was written after that. I don't love flopping. I believe it is a disrespect to the integrity of all other games except soccer. I believe it's part of soccer.
It's part of it.
It's part of the package of soccer.
Really good study by Kurt Goldsberry a long time ago about why soccer players flop, and he's making a correlation between, flopping in soccer and the free throw revolution in the NBA. And he said because if you look mathematically, if you get a lot of free throws, you have a better chance of winning. In soccer, it's enhanced because you get a penalty inside the box. The conversion rate on penalty kicks is so high.
Also, I feel like that penalty is, that's like it's the equivalent, and that's only football brain, it's the equivalent to a spot foul pass interference.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll just throw the ball up, and hopefully we'll get a 85-yard penalty, and we'll be inside the 10.
I call that the old Indianapolis Colts Carson Wentz.
Just throw it up. That's what it feels like. It's like, man, this penalty is very punitive. But continuing, Buds, hey, football nation, we love football, but I'm telling you right now, if we win this game tonight, this thing could overflow. It's budding. We just had some controversy surrounding it. If we win this game tonight, move on, advance in this tournament, the United States could be full-fledged soccer nation. It can happen. It's waiting. It is ready. We just need one more win. It can't end tonight. No. We're right here. We're right on the precipice, I believe is the right proper word. We just need one more victory, and then it is full-on go USA patriotism. It has to happen tonight. FIFA has given us a very favorable ruling, thanks to Article 27. I appreciate it. We are moving forward. And last but not least, 250 roses for our great nation. I hope you all celebrated safely, as Elijah said. Hope you have all your phalanges and all your digits as you celebrated. I had a tremendous, I want to give a shout out to my cul-de-sac neighbors. They put on a fantastic private fireworks show for everybody in the neighborhood. And here's the best part. They were done at 10:30.
Oh, respectful.
Ethical firework in the neighborhood show. It was as we went outside, stood in the yard, watched the fireworks show. Matter of fact, we almost had dueling fireworks shows. Everybody was done at 10:30. Nobody started earlier. Nobody started later. There were none the next day. They cleaned up. Amazing performance by my cul-de-sac neighbors. I don't even know your name because you're down at the end of the cul-de-sac. But you, my friends, this is coming from your Northeast neighbor.
Your Northeast Columbia resident neighbor.
You did a great job. So for everybody that celebrated the 4th, as we should, remember my favorite quote about our nation: progress, not perfection. 250 years of progress and going. Congratulations, happy birthday, United States. And those are our thorns, buds, and roses.
I'm not going to lie, I heard a firework outside my house last night at like 11 o'clock while I was watching the England-Mexico game, and I said, nope, this is July 5th. It is not July 4th. I got to go work tomorrow, buddy.
We don't do that.
Don't do it. Don't do it at all.
I'm just telling you, they started the show promptly and ended it at around 10:30. I don't know whether they ended it or they ran out. Whatever the case was, it was over at 10:30. It was fantastic. Beautiful job. Awesome fireworks. And for everybody that did the fireworks, great job for you too.
The way the good Lord intended.
Correct.
The way it's supposed to be. But you talk about the buds of the United States soccer. If they win tonight, how big a deal that is. This has not happened. They will have gone, if they win tonight, they go to the quarterfinals. Has not happened in a World Cup since 2002 for the United States. And because the expansion of the whole bracket this year, was the first year we have a round of 32. The win against Bosnia was the first win in the knockout stage since 2002, but now you're trying to get to that same part of the tournament that year. But this could do so much in terms of the future of the United States. It doesn't feel like that long ago, Preston Thorne, where Taylor Twellman was going on the classic, "What are we doing?" rant on SportsCenter when they lose to Trinidad and Tobago to not make the 2018 World Cup, not qualify for it. We feel so far removed. That was only 8 years ago. And the turnaround that's happened, I think, is remarkable. I would not have felt at this time last year if you said, Elijah, you're going to face Belgium in the knockout round in next year's World Cup, I'd be like, well, that's the end of the road. I truly don't feel it's the end of the road right now. I actually expect them to be able to pull this game off and actually win. And it's a level of confidence in United States men's soccer I have never had at any point in my life.
And a level of investment, because since 2002, it's been a long time of building the infrastructure of fanhood. MLS has come along since then. More and more people are casually interested in soccer. And with this game, if you get a dub here, that casual interest turns into fandom. And now we start learning players' names. And now we start learning these stories. We already have some of that happening, but we always love a winner. And you have to win big in this tournament. This is a huge moment tonight.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm more so excited for the communal experience, because not how many times in our sports lives is everybody that you know and love cheering for the exact same team you are. Mm-hmm. Everybody's in on it. And I think what a type of unifying experience it can be, if they pull off this win in Seattle tonight, I think would be truly one of the more special sporting events that we've lived in.
I saw a very brilliant tweet where a man who is Mexican-American, he took off his Mexico jersey, and underneath it, he had his United States jersey. So
yes.
He's ready to go.
He's ready to rock and roll tonight. Last night's heartbreak will not deter him whatsoever. Coming up next, though, it's time for the early game third and long hour to go deep. This week, we're tackling the topic of replay in sports, part 1, the origin stories of why this became a thing in the first place. And we'll do that coming up next.
This is Jalen Tart here with the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Report. And we have heavy traffic to report in Lexington County and Sunset Boulevard eastbound between North Lake Drive and I-20. We still have accidents still being worked on in Richland and Lexington County on Assembly Street at Elmwood, Hardscrabble Road at Lee Road, I-20 eastbound at Highway 34, exit 44, North Lake Drive at Link Creek Drive, and Spears Creek Church Road at Earth Road. We still have long-term road construction as well in Richland and Lexington County. If you need to seek an alternative route going to work, please do so immediately. Right now, the temperature is 79 degrees, while the high will be 96 degrees at 2 o'clock this afternoon. We have more on the second half portion of the early game.
A classic Thorn from Thorns, Buds, and Roses replay and the advancement in it. This week for the early game, third and long hour goes deep. We'll be talking about replay in sports, and we've seen a lot of controversy already in this, especially in the FIFA World Cup. We've seen a lot of it where somebody is offsides by a toe and it negates a goal, or going and using replay to retroactively give somebody a red card. We've seen a lot of it, and it's become controversial. And in the NFL, Mike Florio even reported that the same type of technology used by VAR to determine offsides is going to be one of those, or going to be utilized in the NFL potentially to spot the ball in the NFL.
Correct.
Which I'm very, very pro for. I think we're a little archaic in that regard.
That's correct.
And we'll certainly get to that later in the week. But what I wanted to talk about today was the origins of what made all of this necessary to begin with. Because there was a time where if there was a missed call or a bad call by an officiating crew in any sport, you had to live with it. Suck it up. You had to live with it. But what were some of those famous ones? When I went through some of the lists in my head of instances before replay-based decisions, I thought of a couple of classics. Obviously, last night, England was playing in Mexico City, and one of the historic times they've been there was the hand of God goal that Diego Maradona scored, where he clearly hits the ball with his hand to knock it down and scores a goal. Argentina beats England en route to a World Cup championship. I think of Colorado's fifth down. I believe that's against Missouri.
Yep.
How did that happen? That's one of those things I don't even know. Even without replay, how does something like that happen? One that I watched live on TV, Armando Galarraga's blown perfect game.
I did not remember that until I saw it here, and I was like, yeah, I do remember. That was egregious.
I believe it was Jim Joyce, who was the first base umpire, who I remember even in real time, because it was one of those, Galarraga's got a perfect game going into the ninth, so ESPN News cuts to that game, so you're getting to watch it live, and I'm watching it live. And I remember when the throw was over at first, I stand up and I go, he got him! And Jim Joyce calls him safe. And I remember being outraged at that point. It's like, is there nothing we can do? Can somebody buzz down and say, hey, he was out by a foot? How can we not, or how can we live with this type of result here? Armando Galarraga got robbed. 1985, World Series Game 6, Royals-Cardinals, a play at first base. A runner is called safe, and he is clearly out by about a step, right? We have plenty of those instances that I think ultimately made something like this necessary. Even if it becomes annoying, I could think of a few of these events throughout the course of football, baseball, basketball, where this had to be done to at least eliminate some of the more egregious errors that cost teams high-stakes games.
So I am 44 years old. This is a development that has happened during my sports lifetime. It's a thing where you've had the technology. Well, first off, you have to have the technology to do this. Because even if you wanted to do this, we just didn't have the capable technology. But there used to be a segment on when you were watching football games, and it was called "You Make the Call." And what they would do is they would have all of these type of questionable plays, and they would have the instant replay of them during the commercial breaks, and you would have to decide whether or not he caught it or whether he was inbounds or out of bounds. And it was essentially like a novelty segment. Anybody out there, if you remember it, please text us. But it was this thing called You Make the Call, and it was just this cool idea. And then I remember, as with a lot of things we've seen, video games leading the way, where you could replay some of those things in those early Madden games, where you could just replay some plays. And it was just slowly introducing us to the idea, much like the first down marker and things of that nature. So this is something that has come along. So I've had to wrap my brain around the idea that, we can just go back and use instant replay, and it can have an actual effect instead of just a broadcast effect. Because for a while we had it as just in the booth, but then once we saw what happened, they'd be like, oh, that was a bad call, but nothing could change.
Can't do anything about it.
Now we have the technology that has caught up to where we are now, and we're able to make these changes on the actual playing fields.
I love how video games being at the forefront of this. Like, did you ever play a video game, like have the rule, like, you know, we'll go back and look, and if somebody got hosed, somebody has to take a sack or something like that?
Ooh, that's a great one. No, we never did that, but that makes perfect sense.
Well, see, being the older brother, whenever we played, I was like, oh, we're back at the replay. Oh, yeah, you were not in bounds. They gave it to you.
Yeah.
I think you should let me.
I like it.
Yeah, you should
like
surrender 5 yards here.
There is some that is a little bit of a kangaroo court there, but
that I rules. My birthright was to rule that kangaroo court. That did it with an iron fist.
I like it though. But yes, that was the idea of, hey, we understand that there is some human judgment and error, and we now have video capabilities to show some of these mishaps.
And then we get into like the whole rules thing for it. I remember like really early on, like the rules of challenging things being so strict and being so confused, especially in football. Like, why can't you review this, right? Why can't you review everything? And of course, we'll get into that later on this week. But I think when this was first implemented, I was very young when this type of thing was first implemented, like, you know, challenges. And of course, they didn't really adapt to that in basketball, definitely not baseball or soccer until much later. Football as a sport kind of on the forefront of replay review.
You make the call.
They also had a Sports Illustrated for Kids page every month when one came out. But they'd write out a scenario, and you had to make the call based on your understanding of the rules.
What a great publication. You want to get kids to read? Make that Sports Illustrated for Kids thing. I was on it.
They had the cards in there.
There was always, but that was all an accepted part of the game. And I think once we've moved past that, and again, we've had the technology to move that, the argument becomes, well, if we have the technology, why wouldn't we implement the technology? And that I think that is the argument for instant replay infiltrating every. There's not a major league sport that doesn't have a component of instant replay, is there?
Not that I know of. I wouldn't even be surprised if, you know, in Australian, English, or Indian cricket league, Pakistani cricket league, where they even utilize replay, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a sport that's one of the oldest on the planet. I wouldn't be surprised if they utilize it. I don't know anything about cricket, so I really couldn't tell you if they do it or not. But I think it's become that technology is that widely available to where even in sports like that, even though they're much bigger overseas, it's probably still utilized. I'd be curious to know if there is one that exists where there is no system in place to where you can review and overturn something that was ruled on a field.
I don't know if I can't think of any, but as of now, all of the major sports have a component of instant replay, have a component of challenge, and also have a component of correction involving those ideas.
It's certainly feels like almost like an ancient type of concept.
Yeah,
it's hard to imagine without it.
This is one of those things where if you're a younger sports fan, you like, what?
You guys couldn't just review things?
No, that was not a thing for a long time.
We couldn't just look and see that Diego Maradona clearly hit the ball with his hand before scoring the game-winning goal? How does that happen? Colorado they were given a 5th down, which that one's still, how does that happen even in today's football, or even back then? That's more like how the hell do you not count 5 downs?
I need to go back and give me all the context of that scenario, because it feels like there's so many fail safes along the way. It should not have happened.
Yeah, because the referees have the thing on their hands, so they put the loop around a finger to know how many downs there are. You should know when you put it on your thumb. That's probably we're out of downs here. But I need to go back and see an oral history of that. That was not a winner, but we have our winners for today's show, brought to you by the Golden Spur, and that's next year in the early game. And every day we give you our winners of today's show, brought to you by the Golden Spur. And I can't think of a better way to fulfill Coach Singletary's request than by giving you our golden winner of the day. And that is, Preston Thorne, corruption.
Corruption is not bad. Corruption is only bad if I'm not involved.
Yes.
But if I'm part of that corruption, I'll defend it.
When it comes to FIFA's corruption, if it does not involve the United States or does not benefit the United States, it is wrong. But when it benefits their best player, when it benefits allowing Valérien Balogun to play in the game against Belgium tonight, I defend it. Every single time. The biggest news story in sports yesterday, Valérien Balogun's red card, frozen, suspended.
Who knew that random man could provide the key to life? Because I feel like if you understand that statement, that could explain a lot of everything around here. Because of course you're going to be against something when it doesn't benefit you, but when it's for you, you defend it.
Defend it. Adamantly. And that is what I have turned into today. Does it feel icky? Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? Shouldn't have been a red card to begin with. I can justify it that way.
That's true. That's true. It should not have. And again, this is me speaking from absolutely no rules authority with no perspective, historical or otherwise.
Don't need it.
Just based on vibes, I didn't like it. Didn't feel like it shouldn't have been a red card to start with. As I said, if they win that game tonight, they will be the automatic winners. U.S. soccer will be a huge winner. But I'm going to go with 2 because as I was thinking about this, I was thinking about the city of Seattle, who will be hosting the matchup tonight. Awesome stadium, known for being a place where the sound gets up to earthquake levels, hence the Beastquake. We all remember that. But my winner is going to go to Azteca because that stadium, I could feel it through the TV last night, whether it was them chanting a phrase that we cannot say on the FCC. The FCC will not allow that phrase, but it is a Spanish phrase, and it does not speak highly of your opponent. But they said it quite often last night. Also, just the consistent haze that was over the field last night.
Just exists.
Oh, man, it was all that being said, shout out to England for going into that Terror Dome and getting a dub out of there. Big cojones to go win that one.
If you can win in that environment, you can win anywhere. You
For sure.
You as a team are environment proof.
As I stated earlier, there was a mariachi band playing choice tunes at 3 a.m. in the morning outside of the England hotel. One of 15 that they booked because they tried to throw the fans off, but it didn't work.
Nope, didn't work. It failed. It absolutely failed. Another winner for today's show, Ernie's. Ernie Clement was the #1 vote getter in the American League for the All-Star game. Just a random second baseman. He's fine. He's good. I was going to say he's a good second baseman. But he's the leading vote getter. And then that prompted our discussion of how many Ernies do we know? And even the youngest Ernest that we could conjure up, Ernest Jones, Super Bowl champion with the Los Angeles Rams and Seattle Seahawks, born in 1999. He's the 4th Ernest Jones, the 4th rendition.
That name goes back a century, at least.
Yes. An entire century. That's an entire century of Ernests. I think the Ernie factory may be closed.
Here's an age gap question. Ernest goes to, does that mean anything to you? If I say Ernest goes to, does that mean anything to you?
Not a thing.
See, there's a generation of us where Ernest goes to several different places in the movies, like Ernest goes to Africa, Ernest goes to jail, Ernest goes to Australia, and it's just this random character that means nothing to you.
No.
Shout out to Ernie going to several places. I believe rest in peace. I hope I didn't kill him, but shout out to Ernest.
Yeah.
Ernest goes to Africa, a classic VHS.
Also, maybe the only time I think we'll ever get this guy on the winners list, but winner, former Bowling Green State head coach Scott Loeffler, for being honest with Phil Steele. Because when you read Phil's magazine, you'll see a lot of, Shane Beamer thinks this is the best defensive line he's had at South Carolina, or Steve Sarkisian says this is the best offensive line they've had at Texas. So I had to ask, has any coach ever been up front and just said, hey, we're going to suck? And he said, Scott Loeffler at Bowling Green says it's a 5-year plan. In the first year, we're going to stink out loud. Then we'll stink a little less the next year. And you know what? That is honesty that I can appreciate.
We'll take it.
Scott Loeffler may have been fired as the head coach at Bowling Green, or he might have taken a job. He's not there anymore because Eddie George is coaching. But you know what? He'll always be a winner on this program. Tyler Head, Jack Veltri, the Extra Point, they're winners, and they're next. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.